I'll tell you what I believe controls our lives more than anything else is decisions. That's it. Everyone faces tough conditions. Everyone. But it's your decisions, what you choose to focus on, what you decide things mean, and what you choose to do that shape everything you become. 95% of all businesses never even break $1 million in revenue. I'm not talking about profit, just sales. And even when you hit 1 million, what happens next? You have to raise the bar because it's never really about the number, is it? It's about your capacity to grow, expand, and create greater impact. You can work endlessly and grind your way to $1 million. But if you want to go to 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 million, or even 1 billion, it requires an entirely different level of thinking. Hustle alone won't get you there. It demands strategy. It demands leverage. And most importantly, it demands that you maximize who you are at a completely different level. Have you ever gone back to your hometown and noticed that one burger place everyone still lines up for? 20 or 30 years later, the place is packed, the line is around the block, and the same owner is still standing there, one location, same routine. That's it. And then there's another company whose product many people would agree isn't even that great, yet it's the most dominant force in its entire industry. Why? Because they understood something critical. They're not just in the burger business. They're in the business. They learned how to build scale and operate a system. That's why I'm here to share a few distinctions about business and life. And the reason I get to do this today is because early in my life, I became obsessed. I still am. I never lost it. My obsession has always been this: what truly makes the difference in people's lives? Why is it that some people are given love, support, education, everything, and they still spend their lives struggling, going in and out of rehab, while others face abuse, injustice, and overwhelming hardship, and they rise up to become leaders, contributors, people who change the world? I discovered a common denominator. We are making 3 decisions all the time. You may not be making them consciously because most people live on autopilot, and that's why their lives don't change. But at any moment, you can wake up, change these decisions, and create a completely different life. The first decision you're making every moment is this: what are you going to focus on? Your business, your emotions, your joy, your anger, your happiness, everything is controlled by what you focus on. You don't experience life as it is. You experience the life you focus on right now. If you wanted to, you could instantly find something to be frustrated or angry about. What's wrong is always available. And so is what's right. This isn't about positive thinking, it's about intelligence. Because whatever you focus on, you will feel, whether it's true or not. Have you ever been told that a friend said or did something terrible, and at first you refused to believe it? Then one person confirms it, then another. Suddenly you're furious when really you're just hurt. You feel betrayed, and later you confront the person and realize the whole story was false, and you feel ridiculous. What happened? Your focus controlled how you felt. Most people don't control their focus. They let their phone do it. They let the media do it. They let other people do it. Yet focus controls everything. In this very moment, there are millions of things you could be focusing on. What you're hearing right now, what it might mean for your future, what you're doing later tonight, the sensation of your clothes on your skin, something you weren't aware of until it was mentioned. Your life changes the moment you decide what deserves your focus. Your brain is constantly filtering reality. It's deleting, distorting, and generalizing information so you don't have to think all the time. That's efficient, but it's also dangerous because those mental shortcuts often create thinking patterns that don't serve you in your business or your life. The moment you decide what to focus on, a second decision immediately follows. What does this mean? Now understand this: the first part of your brain is ancient. It's over 2 million years old. Its job is survival. It's always scanning for danger, pain, or anything that could threaten you. Back then, that threat was a saber-toothed tiger. Your options were simple: freeze, fight, or run. But today, there are no tigers chasing us. Yet we react the same way when someone criticizes us online, when a deal doesn't close, or when we worry about money. These aren't life or death situations, but if you're not conscious, your nervous system treats them as if they are. So once you choose what to focus on, you then decide what it means. Is this the end or is this the beginning? Think about a relationship. If you believe something is the end of a relationship, are you going to act the same way as if you believed it was the beginning? Yes or no? Of course not. I often tell people this: if you think it's the end of a relationship, act like it's the beginning and it won't be the end. Because in the beginning, what were you willing to do? Anything. For who? For who? Let's try something for a moment. Make the sound of being completely in love. Go ahead. Try it. Some of you are a little rusty. Let's try again. Totally in love and filled with desire. You can't stop thinking about the person. You want to be close to them. Make that sound. Much better. We had to add a little passion to wake you up. Now tell me, if you're that in love with someone, what will you do for them? Anything. Someone says, can you take out the trash? You say, take out the trash. Of course, what else can I do for you? But then time passes. 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, 7 years. Somewhere between 7 days and 70 years, the same request comes, and suddenly it's, what do I look like? Your janitor. And then people say, I don't know what happened. We used to have so much passion. What happened is simple. You change the meaning. When you change the meaning of a relationship, you change how you behave. When you're pursuing someone, you act differently than when you believe you already have them and start taking them for granted. And meanings show up everywhere. Is this person disrespecting you or challenging you? Are they attacking you or trying to help you grow? Are they criticizing you or caring about you? You decide the meaning, but most people don't decide consciously. They do it habitually. So write this down. Meaning creates emotion, and emotion shapes your life. Whatever meaning you give an experience produces an emotion, and that emotion drives the third decision. What are you going to do? If you're angry, you'll respond one way. If you're playful, grateful, or feeling loved, you'll respond in a completely different way. So those first two decisions, what you focus on and what you decide it means, determine the third decision. And that third decision shapes your actions, your results, and ultimately your life. Those first two decisions shape the third one. What am I going to do? And what you do, your actions, are what ultimately create the results of your entire life. So how does this connect on a personal level? Let me make it real. My father and I lived completely different lives because we answered those three questions differently. I know what my father focused on because he said it out loud, sometimes quietly, sometimes under his breath. His focus was that he had failed his family. He repeated it constantly. Then came the meaning he attached to that focus: I'm worthless. I shouldn't even be here. And over time, that meaning drove his actions, and eventually that's why he left. I had a different focus. At the time, my focus was food. Simple idea, right? But the reason I'm standing here today comes down to one meaning I chose. And that's why I want you to truly understand these three decisions, because they shape everything. The meaning I chose was this: strangers care. Up until that moment, I believed I lived in a wealthy community. In reality, we were lower middle class, living on the wrong side of the railroad tracks. We were treated like we didn't matter. My father said it often, and it was believable. Then something happened that changed my life forever. On Thanksgiving, someone delivered food to my family. They didn't want recognition. They didn't want credit. They just cared. That single act rewired my life. If strangers could care about my family, then I needed to care about strangers. So I made a decision. Someday, I'm going to do this for at least 2 other families. The next year, I doubled it to 4 families, then 8, then more. Eventually, I brought my employees into it, first from a small company, then larger companies. And over time, that commitment grew to feeding millions of people every year, millions through my work and millions through my foundation. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand how progress really works. Most people overestimate what they can do in a single year, and they dramatically underestimate what they can do in a decade or two. Then I asked a bigger question: what if I committed to providing 100 million meals a year for 10 straight years? That's a billion meals. That idea lit me up. It sounded insane. It sounded impossible. And we didn't just do it, we did it in less time than I originally committed to. Thank you. And that's when we created an even bolder mission, a 100 billion meal challenge. And I'm proud to tell you, we delivered 30 billion meals in the first 2 years alone. This year, we'll deliver another 30 billion, bringing us to 60 billion. And we're just getting started. At the end of the day, your life is not controlled by your circumstances. It's not controlled by your past, your upbringing, or the economy. It's controlled by the decisions you make moment by moment. What you choose to focus on determines how you feel. What you decide things mean determines who you become. And what you choose to do determines the results you create. These 3 decisions are shaping your life right now, whether you're aware of them or not. The moment you take control of your focus, you reclaim your power. The moment you assign a new meaning, you change your emotional state. And the moment you take a different action, your life begins to shift. Remember this: one decision can change a relationship. One decision can change a business. One decision can change a destiny. It doesn't take decades. Sometimes it takes seconds. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You need clarity, commitment, and the courage to choose differently. So decide right now what deserves your focus. Decide what this moment means. And most importantly, decide what you're going to do next. Because when you change your decisions, you change everything.